Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1106. It's Super Bowl Monday. Some people think this should be a holiday. And I thought about that. I saw, I don't know if it was I'm sure it was a tweet. Should Monday after the Super Bowl be a holiday? And I'm like, no, of course not. And then I'm like, well, I work for myself, and here I am 30 minutes late to my own show. I don't think my vote counts. I don't know. When I did have to go report to the office, I would have said, "Hell yeah, Super Bowl Monday needs to be a holiday." I wonder what there's got to be stats on this, and I don't think Super Bowl Mondays is going to be or ever is like the least efficient workday. I would think like like the Thursday of March Madness and Friday of March Madness. Like I think that probably loses companies more money than the Friday after the Super Bowl. So I continued my cleaning yesterday. My cleaning. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl, of course. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the commercials. We're going to talk about some weird tweets after the game. But before we get to that, I was doing some cleaning, and it's been a while since I had a Goodwill pallet, but I often leave boxes like I don't go through boxes. And that's basically because it appears to be all just junk wax. It's in a box. I see 89 Fleer, 91 Fleer, just yeah. So I'll wait to go through some of these boxes. So when you say, have you gone through all of your Goodwill pallet stuff? Yeah, the good stuff. But sometimes there's good stuff hidden underneath that 89 Fleer and Donruss and all that garbage. So I I need to have so I think the biggest key to start getting organized is to have your spaces. Now, when we were designing this house, it was an existing house that we gutted. And one of my wife's friends is like a designer. And so she's going through when we were talking about my basement office layouts. She's like I can't remember the term she used. I've talked about it here before and I always forget later on. But basically like your spaces shouldn't multitask. Like you should have like this space should only be for this. Like this space should only be for talking into a microphone. That space is my shipping and sorting area, which this space has been multitasked and now there's some sorting going on, but I want to sort with the TV on. Anyway, so I want to, as I'm getting things cleaned up, I want to organize it to where, okay, once I get everything has a place, right? Everything has a place. So while I'm doing this, I'm also setting stuff aside and gathering some random stuff for the next YouTube live sale, which we will do. I think we'll do it Thursday, a week from Thursday, February 22nd. So we're going to do more of the bulk, pretty much what we did last time, although there's going to be some new. I've got some flat rate boxes of just random like packs and boxes and oversized cards, stuff that I don't want to list on eBay. So we've got a few of those. There's the 2023 Series 1, just like a huge, large flat rate box of that. And then we'll put together, I'm about halfway through another non-sport box. So found some pretty cool non-sport yesterday. So I want to have a space. Okay, this is going to be my YouTube live shelves. So I was organizing that, and on the top of the shelf was this box. I had no idea what was in it, but I brought it down and I'm like, oh, it's a bunch of 89 tops, 91 Fleer. So I'm like, I'm just going to go through it just to make sure. Now, some of these boxes I was throwing away. Like if it was 89 tops and, they're dinged corners and stuff, I'm tossing it. So these are obviously all like just thrown into a box. I might as well just throw this all away right now. So I bring it in here. I had the Iowa game, which I'm going to talk about next before we get to the Super Bowl. The women's basketball game, Iowa. And so I start going through, and it's like, this is just all freaking garbage. It was 89 Fleer and I think 89 Donruss. And then there was a box of 91 Fleer. I'm like, ugh. I've gone through a lot of that crap, and I don't want, like, even I don't care. There's probably Cubs in here. I don't care. I didn't see any stars. I didn't see any, Ripkins or Randy Johnsons. I didn't see any other stuff. So, because if I found like Barry Bonds or obviously a Ken Griffey Jr. 89 Fleer, I'm going to set that aside. But the commons. So I was just about to throw this box away. And I decided, okay, I'm just gonna maybe like beneath all this garbage is something. So I dig through, and let me show you what's saved this box. Actually, a few things. Actually, what was this last? Oh, shit. This 1989 Milwaukee Brewers pocket schedule saved the box, because I saw that, and actually I think there was this, and then I think there were like a couple others. Madison Muskies 89 old style, 88 baseball schedule. I think there was like 2 or 3 at the very bottom. And I think pocket schedules are cool, and I wouldn't say I collect Cubs pocket schedules, but I keep them if I find them. And yeah, I do count them. They're card size, so I do count them in my 1 million Cubs count. So I find these pocket schedules, and I'm like, oh, there's 2 or 3. There might be more. So I just toss some of this junk onto the side, and all of a sudden I find like a 71 Topps football. I see like a 72 Topps football, and by the end of the box, I've got a whole stack of vintage football. And actually, pretty early on, I found the first 2 like bigger cards I found, or maybe 3. There was a 72 Fran Tarkenton. There was a 71 Tarkenton. But the best card of all, we got to get him sleeved up. How about this? A Terry Bradshaw rookie card. And it's actually, there's no creasing. The corners are dinged up. It's off center, but like, holy shit. Well, that's a big card. And then furthermore, this is a beater, Bart Starr, late career card. How about this? That's a sweet card. Gale Sayers, 71 Topps. And then a Johnny U. So along with a entire stack of vintage football. And there's some like Ray Nitschke, John Haddle. Like there's some names in here. Bubba Smith, Jake Scott. There was a like a stack of Dolphins. A Bart Starr game card. Jim Otto. Yeah, here's the Ray Nitschke 1970 Topps. There's some pretty good stuff in there. And of course, it's just thrown into a box, so the corners are kind of dinged up and all that. But hey, it's still vintage football. Somebody's like, and it's funny when you tweet stuff like this out. And surprisingly, I didn't have any like haters saying, "Oh, you're just planting those." I did take a video though, because I wanted to show, like, it would be kind of stupid for me to plant a Terry Bradshaw rookie into a box of random, like unsleeved, like that would just be silly. So I did take a video, like a 2-minute video going through, and I found, some 70s cards. Maybe I'll upload that. It's just kind of me going through like, hey, I'd be dumb to plant these cards at like this as is. But it's funny you show, it's like So this box, and I guess we don't know like the thought process of others. So like somebody's like, oh, that Bart Starr's in terrible condition. It's like, it's a fucking like it was with a bunch of 89 Fleer Commons. Like it could be ripped in half and it's still like a fun find. So Twitter, man. Twitter. So that was a fun find. I was actually going through that as I was watching the Iowa-Nebraska women's basketball game. I think I saw Shane comment something about that. So what a strange end. Fourth quarter. It's still hard for me to adapt that women's college basketball is quarters and not halves. I think they went to, I think I was still working in college athletics when they went to quarters. I think it was my last year when they went to quarters, and it was like, what? Second quarter? You mean second half? Oh, wait, they're in quarters now. So Caitlin Clark needed 39 points to break the NCAA women's scoring record. And I took Biscuit for a walk, and I looked at the box score, and I think it was halftime, and she was like halfway. I think she had like 19 points. Yeah, she was just under halfway to that 39. And so I came home and turned the second half on, and it's like, wow, Caitlin Clark's going to get there. And it seemed like as the game wore on. Now, I'm coming at this from a point of view where I don't know Iowa women's basketball. I've seen like obviously highlights of Caitlin Clark. Sometimes when they're on, I'll be like, oh, Caitlin Clark's on. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. Like, oh, if I'm flipping through channels, I'm going to check this game out for a little bit. But I've never actually watched the game to see how they play. But I was doing so yesterday. And it seemed in this they had like a 14, 13, 12-point lead late in the game. They blew it like my Leathernecks have the last couple times. And Caitlin Clark just wasn't getting the ball. Now, I know Nebraska kind of altered their defense, and that kind of gave them fits, so that could have played into it. Again, I don't watch much, Iowa or Nebraska basketball, so I don't know their tendencies. But it just seemed like there was a shift, and Caitlin Clark was not getting the ball. And there's conspiracy theorists, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but the coach, Lisa Bluter, didn't want Caitlin Clark to break the record on the road. Their next game is at home. But when you're altering your strategy, and it essentially, if that was the case, you lost the game because of that. I don't buy into that. I think it's just, let's create a conspiracy. But it seemed like the ball just wasn't going through Caitlin Clark. And that's what led to their demise in yesterday's game. And they ended up losing. Because Brian just comments, Clark is so good at passing, she throws dimes. She does. But when she doesn't have the ball in her hands to either score or pass, the other girls on the floor, the other women on the floor are not the ball handlers that Caitlin Clark is. And all of a sudden there's turnover. And it just seemed like the ball wasn't going through. In fact, there was at one point I noticed, I picked up on this, where Iowa was, one of the other teammates was bringing the ball up, and Caitlin's like, hey, like, I'm the point guard here. Throw me the ball. Let me bring the ball up. And I'm like, that was like bizarre. I thought, again, I don't watch Iowa women's basketball, so maybe this is all normal, but I just felt like Iowa blew that game. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Nebraska played good basketball, but Iowa, they were cruising, and then all of a sudden they just. Then there were some post-game fireworks caught on microphones during Nebraska. And so this is something that I have a little bit of background on. So during Nebraska's post-game press conference, one of the microphones picked up Lisa Bluter, the head coach at Iowa, like screaming in the hallway. And she said something like, I've got a plane. This is not Big Ten protocol. I've got a plane to catch. And you're playing music during the free throws, which I also noticed. Let's talk about that for a second. Caitlin Clark, Nebraska, even with a technical foul in that fourth quarter, Caitlin Clark was fouled, and then Nebraska gets called for a technical because they were arguing blah, 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 whatever. So, of course, Caitlin Clark goes to the free throw line. She makes her first 2 free throws. Now she's got the technical free throws. And the first free throw, she misses, and Nebraska goes, wah, 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 and all that. But it continued, which, they're playing these sound effects during free throws, which is you're not supposed to play music during the course of the game, which free throws are the course of the game. So I found that odd, but what I found equally odd is Caitlin Clark didn't wait. Now, I know there's a lot of muscle memory and you do your thing, but if there's music, I don't know. And again, I don't know her game. Maybe that's just the way she played. Screw it, music or no music, I'm shooting this free throw. And she missed again. She missed 2 free throws. That's some critical, because I think at that point they had double-digit leads still. So Bluter's in the back, and Bluter's in the back. She's like, you're playing music during the free throws? And I got a plane to catch, and this is not Big Ten protocol. And so I guess what, because I was reading, I'm like, ooh, what's going on? Because I was intently watching at this point to, pick up on these things, even though I was finding some vintage football in my box. I guess the Big Ten protocol comment that Lisa Bluter made was in regards to Nebraska being in the press conference, because Big Ten protocol is the I don't know if it's the losing team or the away team. I think it might be the away team goes first. And that's typically, I think that's how we rolled when I was at Western, because the away team typically, this is Big Ten, so it's a little different. But in the mid-majors, typically you're hopping on a bus. We're in the bus leagues in the low majors of Division I. So we're catching a bus to drive overnight to get home. So, in our league, it was, I'm pretty sure it was the road team goes first in the press conference. Now, that protocol sometimes is broken because, especially in a tight game and the road team loses, the head coach may be fired up. And there could be multiple reasons for them to delay going into the press conference. I've seen instances where the coach was pissed off at the referees and were trying to access the referee's locker room. Yes, I witnessed that on a couple occasions. There were instances where they were chasing down the athletic director, their own athletic director, to complain and to file, you need to file a complaint about whatever. I've seen just sometimes they're pissed off and they need a cooling off period. So there's multiple reasons for a team to be a little slow. When that happens, you have to adjust on the fly. I also worked press conferences when I covered the state finals in Illinois, the basketball state finals in Illinois. And, we didn't have a timer. You didn't have okay, you've got 10 minutes. If 10 minutes is up and they're not here, we go to the next team just to keep things moving. It was just kind of okay, everybody's here. It's been a while. Okay, they're still not coming. This team's ready. And sometimes they're already walking down to the press conference. Okay, you're going in first. So there's really no, at least in the instances, in the places I worked with press conferences, there wasn't a backup protocol where, okay, you've got X amount of time. If you're not here, we're going to plan B. We're going to the home team or the winning team. So I'm sure what happened was, and I don't know the timing of the press conference. I just saw the audio highlights that of Bluter in the hallway. So my guess is she was upset, probably with the music or the sound effects during the free throws, and probably trying to cool off because she's gave up a double-digit lead and lost the game. So she's probably taking her time and doesn't want to get to the press conference, and Nebraska's like, we're ready. And like, why delay this any longer? So that's probably that's my assumption on what happened. So before we move on, let's see if there's any Iowa, Nebraska comments. Brian said something. Where are we at? Okay, let's go. Brian says the women's ball game is much better structured. The men's game needs to adopt quarters and foul rules now. I was skeptical at first, but now I hate the men's game flow. That's a good point. See, I don't watch women's college basketball to know the flow. So that is interesting. I think there's probably, you're probably right about that, because in the men's game you have the media timeouts, which, it's like, it's coming, but when's it coming? It's like you get the under 16, so there's going to be a timeout as soon as it crosses to 15:59 left in the half. But if there's no dead balls, it might, you may come across, we got 2 timeouts now. So, all right, the flow. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Let's see. Caitlin Clark is so good at passing. She throws dimes. Shane says there is no way that is true. Clark would much rather win than worry about where she is setting the record. It looked like she wanted the ball and she wanted to score. It looked like it was, it looked like they were key. It looked like her own team, from my vantage, from my viewing. It's like, why are you not giving Caitlin Clark the ball? She's not bringing it up. She's like screaming for the ball. I know Nebraska was playing great defense against her. So, on that side of the floor, it was, giving her a hard time getting the ball. But, the ball goes through Caitlin Clark, and it just wasn't in that fourth quarter yesterday. Let's see. Brian says Nebraska had a great second half game plan. This year's Iowa team isn't as good overall as last year's team, and Nebraska did well mixing things up. Max says, did we hear Nebraska playing music during free throws? The only time I caught was at the during those technical free throws. It was sound effects. I don't think it was music. Maybe there was music at points during the game. Max says, I'm fine with sound effects, not fine when the player is actually releasing the ball. So the sound effects were actually, they went through her releasing the ball. Brian says, typical Bluter, though. Let's see. Where are we at? Max says, makes sense. Visiting team holds presser first. In most cases, yes. In most cases, the visiting team, in a game like this, in regular season games, when you get to, championship games, state finals, where it's like the neutral court and, you're staying at the hotel and going back tomorrow, then it's winners and losers usually. Usually, like in the state finals, for example, when I was doing those press conferences, the losing team would go first to allow the winning team to, celebrate. What I like, though, is, usually like you're doing that for, I guess the championship games you're celebrating, but like the semifinals, they're like, you could always tell like the winning teams that like they were coached and taught to, this ain't over. You won the semifinals. You haven't won anything yet. Like, we still got a game to play for a championship. Max says, still not sure what Nebraska has added to the Big Ten since they came in. Let's see. Max says, sound effects or music, same difference. Fuck the media. Always screw everything up. Don't need pressers after every game. I think, so I worked in media for 15 years. I have mixed thoughts on the media. I think that the media gets wrapped up in the media is out to get us. It's the media, it's their narrative. And there are narratives, sure, certainly, absolutely. But when it comes to covering college basketball, there's really no narratives to spin. The only thing I don't like about Pressers are like so vanilla for the most part. Sometimes you get good stuff. But game stories are like dinosaurs. Like, I think this is part of the reason why newspapers are dying. It's because you're writing the same style that you were writing 100 years ago. Nebraska beat Iowa 63-55. And here's what Coach Bluter had to say. Blah, 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 blah. Caitlin Clark scored 22 points. Like, it's just so vanilla. Like, I don't read any like games. Like, I watch the game. I don't care. Like, this is the 21st century. Like, we have the internet. We have, like, you can watch any college basketball game on TV with the internet. We don't need gamers anymore. Give me some personal interest stories. Give me some, like, let's dive deeper into this. Let's not just write a generic story. Okay, enough about college basketball. Let's talk. Woo, I cracked my voice. Let's talk Super Bowl. What a game. Charlie's in the house. He's listing and shipping and drinking his coffee with Stuart. Wednesday night, I'll be joining Charlie and Adam on the Dollar Box channel, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central. Steel Cards, what's going on? Good morning. David is here. Good morning. Good second half of the Super Bowl. Congratulations to Kansas City. James says Nagy gets a ring. Hell yeah, F the Bears. Good for him. As long as he's not in Chicago. I mean, it would have been nice if he could have won a ring in Chicago, but he's a shitty head coach. So, hey, more like, I don't hate him. I hated how he coached, but good for him. Shane, good morning. Max says, awesome game to be a fan of neither team. Absolutely. Was cheering for Patty, but great game nonetheless. Christopher Walken commercial was the only one worthwhile. That was fun. That was a good one. Usher was also A+, best one I've seen. I'll disagree with that, but so I want to go in. We can talk about that. But I always forget about the commercials. And I thought, yeah, these commercials are kind of lame. My favorite was the Dunkin' commercial with Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Tom Brady as a boy band, and then J-Lo is like judging them or whatever. And that was like, I'm a Brady fan. I'm an Affleck Damon fan. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was the best commercial. Were there any beer commercials used to be the best? I think we're in this new like phase where it's like, oh, we can't talk about beer. No beer commercials. No, I don't think we had Doritos commercials. I think there might have been a Mountain Dew commercial. And that my wife even mentioned, she's like, the commercials are, what about the Jesus commercial? That was fucking weird. Like, can you imagine you're like tithing and you're giving money on Sunday to the donation plate and your church is using that to spend millions of dollars on a Super Bowl commercial? Like, what the fuck? Jesus wouldn't want that, would he? I thought that was weird. What else? The walk-in commercial was good. I enjoyed that one. But I didn't, and I think I have a theory on Super Bowl commercials, and I just don't know. Is it me? I think it's me. I think I'm just getting old, and like nothing is as good today as it was yesterday. Like that's just human behavior. We always look back at the glory days, and I paint that with a broad brush. Most people look back nostalgic. Oh, things were so much better in the junk wax era. Things were so much better in the 70s. Things were so much better in the 50s. And I think every generation, we go through that. Like as we get older, we have bills to pay and we're just grumpy. We look back at the times when we didn't have bills to pay and we were happy and young. So I look back and it's like, man, the commercials were so great, but were they? We can look back and we can name our favorite Super Bowl commercials of all time. And one or two of them maybe two were in like one super. Like they were probably, it was like we remember the best ones of each year or the best couple of each year. But they weren't all in the same Super Bowl. So there were a lot of shitty commercials. Even in 1993, there were a lot of shitty Super Bowl commercials. And, you know, in 20 years, we'll look back. Remember that Duncan commercial with that? Oh, that was a great one. We'll get into the halftime show too, because I always like to make jokes about the halftime show. Orlando, what's going on? Good morning. Troy is here. What's happening? Mikey placed a big order in your eBay store. Thank you. Shane says it was a great weekend for sales. Not for me. I had shitty sales. Sunday for me historically has been like one of the worst sales days of the entire year. And it didn't disappoint. And actually, I had a really shitty a few weeks ago. I had a really shitty day. So yeah, I didn't sell shit yesterday. So Mikey's order, that's given me a nice little boost for Monday though. So hopefully today is a little different. I had a very terrible. I wonder if my Saturday, Sunday even just barely combining. So I have a daily goal. And Saturday, Sunday, like hit my daily goal. It took 2 days to hit my daily goal. That's how bad of a weekend it was for me. But you know, I'll be listing some. I haven't listed that much in the last week, but I'll be listing some vintage football. The Bradshaw. I forgot I had that Ricky Henderson rookie from also a Goodwill pallet. I was going to submit it for grading. Now it's like, you know what? I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to sell it raw. I've got some other stuff, so I think that we'll, you know, tops. I think my it's still. Well, actually, it might have moved by now, but last night it was still sitting in fucking Maumee, Ohio. Let's see, where are we at? Let's see, has it moved? Hopefully, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, it's reached Madison. But more than likely, since it was sitting in Maumee yesterday, it's still going to be Tuesday delivery. Let's see, UPS tracking. Hey, I got a top loader binder yesterday. I think I'm going to talk about it tomorrow, though. Fuck. Why did that not? All right, maybe we won't track it. Oh, I know why, because it copied the link to the tracking number. Okay, there we go. Copy. And I got to do this all over. I got a top loader binder, and I think I like it. I'll talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. Because I like it and I don't like it. But I think I know how to fix it so I like it. But I'd have to buy a new one, right? Okay, so my tops case is on the way. Hey, it finally departed Maumee, Ohio this morning at 4:47. It has arrived. Oh, wow. It's already departed Hodgkins, Illinois. It arrived in Hodgkins, Illinois at 7:29 and departed at 7:59. Now that, my friends, is getting her done. So looks like my tops case will be here tomorrow. I'll probably, the first box I'll probably rip just because it's the first box. I don't even know if I'll do a whole box though. I hate ripping on camera. I just want to, I got to get my rec room cleaned up. So I have my palette. I need a clean palette to rip my tops. Victor, what's going on? Good morning. Baseball is about to start. Pitchers and catchers are reporting. Official report date is Wednesday for the Cubs. And I know a lot of players are already there. My friend Rich down there with the photos. Imanaga's there. Horner. Seems like most of the team's already there. You like to see that. Philly Joe, what's going on? And actually, exactly 1 month from today, I'll be on a flight. This time, in 1 month, I'll be on a flight to Phoenix for spring training. Philly Joe, what's going on? Happy Monday. T206 Kid, what's up? Push the Super Bowl ahead one more week, then some people will have off Monday for President's Day. There's an idea. Can we just move President's Day? Is there a reason President's Day is where it is? It's President's Day, so we can make up a random day. Donald Davis, what's going on? Let's just make President's Day the day after the Super Bowl. 2 birds, 1 stone. Orlando says Mahomes' win is good for the hobby. Yes, it is. Brian says, fire Steve Wilkes. That's all I have to say. Congrats to all the KC fans. KC deserved the win. It was a fun game. Mark says, good morning. Still recovering from Super Bowl eating crap hangover. We did grill last night. My wife's like, what do you want to do for dinner? I'm like, it's a Super Bowl. I got to do something. I'm like, yeah, let's just do burgers. So burgers on the grill. Brian says, what a game. Happy baseball season. Let's go Cubs. Red Light says, man, late today. I was. Yeah, it's Super Bowl Monday. You got to sleep in. Shane says, agree with the March Madness first 2 days. Nobody is paying attention to anything except the games. They've got their brackets on their desk, their phones. Yeah, it's just a giant suck. Time suck. That was we had a debate. The company I worked for, there was a debate in the office about getting a TV. We're going to get a TV. And it's like my thought was like, why? Can we just have like a happy hour instead? Like, let's spend that $100, $300, how much ever a TV is. Let's just spend that money on a happy hour or 2. Because it's like, the only time people will use, we can put like the management said, we can put like the news channels on, and if big events are happening, it's like, little did we know a few months later, COVID would, and we're glued to the TVs with daily updates about the COVID pandemic. But the only time a TV is going to come in handy is Thursday and Friday of the first round of the NCAA tournament. And it was. Actually, no, it wasn't, because it wasn't, because there was the first year we had TVs, there was no NCAA tournament. And then the following year, I think I was working from home. And then the following year, I was here watching the NCAA tournament. Tea Timer, what's going on? Happy Lundy Gras. MJ, what's going on? Waiting for the techno remix of Travis Kelce's Viva Las Vegas. Great game. Tea Timer says, no work getting done in NOLA today. Mardi Gras. Is it Mardi Gras already? I guess I don't know when Mardi Gras is. Mikey says Corbin first, Gunner Sapphire, Green Mosaic, Brady, Jason Churio, Refractor, Sanchez, Pink Mojo, Feliciano, Felicano, Sapphire. Thank you, sir. Kyle, what's going on? Good morning. Those vintage football card finds were awesome. Thank you. Yes, they were. Let's see. Mark says, when the 49ers kicked the field goal in OT, I knew it was over. And didn't they elect to receive, or elect to start on offense, or however that works? Cardboard History says, good morning. Happy Series 1 release week. I'm stoked. Tomorrow is the day for me. Some people had it like Friday or Saturday. It's like, son of a bitch. It's sports cards. Good morning. How was your weekend? Did you get my email? I think so. I do not want to jump on a call, though. I don't do calls. I just don't do calls. Email me all the details, and we're good to go. I don't need phone calls. We're either good to go or not good to go. So just let me know, break it down, give me a price, and I'll tell you yes or no. Andy Mack says, just got a message from a buyer asking me to cancel his $1.90 order if I wasn't going to ship it. He bought it Friday evening. Maybe his bets lost big last night. Right. Was it a 49ers or Chiefs player? Or I guess, was it a 49ers player? Zach says, the space you were sitting in is the space where you make bad takes, like saying junk wax is garbage. Cooter's in the house. Good morning. Christian says, good morning and happy new year. Baseball now officially back. Dare I say you may not have your business today if not for Junk Wax Era. Certainly not selling basketball slabs, Barry Larkin rookies. I did a little bit of, I think it actually was more basketball than, basketball kind of Novak Djokovic really helped. I made like $1,200 selling Novak Djokovic rookies that were sitting in a closet. I sold a Chris Middleton Prism rookie for like $300. I sold like a Bradley Beal. Like I sold a ton of basketball because it was just sitting in boxes. I didn't know it was worth anything. It probably wasn't before the COVID pandemic. And then Barry Larkin rookies just helped keep things afloat. Shane says, oh God, don't remind of Iowa and how poor that fourth quarter was. I know. Crazy how Vegas had the over-under at 47.5. At half, it was 10-3, and the final was 25-22, right at 47. What'd I say yesterday? I'm like, Vegas, they've got some weird-ass juju out there, man. They know. So when I was making my predictions, I think my prediction was I predicted the Chiefs 24-21. One of my buddies on Instagram had like this contest, like guess the score contest. So I guess Chiefs 24-21. And I'm like, 25-22. Like I had to win. So I sent him a text and I'm like, with the cool shades on. And then he goes, you got beat by a point. Somebody guessed 26-22. Like what? What? Check the timestamp on that. Max says, I think the productivity is multiple times worse today than the first 2 days of NCAA combined. Number one, always a Monday. Number two, the Super Bowl is as much a social event as it is an actual sporting competition. There's some truth to that. I wouldn't say I don't think combined. I mean, there's like number. I wonder if there's got to be like some studies. I know there's studies out on March Madness and how much productivity lost on Super Bowl Monday. Let's just see. Here's a Challenger Gray in Christmas from 2022. Let's see. I just want to see impact on the workforce. Here we go. According to a 2021 survey conducted by the Workforce Institute at Kronos, 16.1 million Americans reported they were likely not going to work on the Monday after the Super Bowl. This figure multiplied times the average daily hours worked in January at 6.9, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the average hourly wage of $31.63 in January 22 results in $3.5 billion with a B dollars in lost productivity. Add 2 hours of distracted working for the other 47 million estimated employed NFL fans. The cost balloons to $6.5 billion. Okay. So now let's see productivity lost during March Madness. Let's see. Here's Human Resources Director. Employers expected to lose $17.3 billion over March Madness, but that might be like over the whole course of the tournament, maybe. Let's see. I think this is the entire tournament, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the firm's estimate is based on the number of working Americans who are likely to be caught up in March Madness, the estimated time spent filling out brackets and streaming games, and average hourly earnings, which in February stood at $33.09, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Per hour, the games could cost employers $2.55 billion if over 76.9 million staff members would spend at least 1 hour of the workday on March Madness activities. So that's like over the course of not just the tournament, but also filling out brackets. Because I think the Monday, like there's probably a lot of lost productivity the Monday after the bracket day, because you're printing brackets, you're running office pools, you're filling, let's fill out brackets. So I would say there's probably more, like, just thinking myself, like I was probably less productive on that Monday filling out brackets and like reading, stories online, which I probably wasn't supposed to be doing, but I was, as opposed to Thursday and Friday where you're looking at scores. You're not like watching game because you don't have a TV, unless, well, you might in the break room. But I wasn't streaming games on my phone. Now, if like Western Illinois was in it, I would have been streaming that game on my phone. Mark says, little Super Bowl tidbit. Ian Eagle wore a suit I sold him during the pregame show. Hey, that is very cool. How about that? Mark Marinello. Neil, what's going on? Good morning. Max says, males and females both participate in watching, whereas I'd assume the NCAA is majority male dominated. Nah, when it comes to brackets, both men and women are participating. My wife even fills out a bracket. Usually she doesn't know she doesn't know what she's doing. She's like, oh, I know this from this movie and I like their colors. So, but she still, usually fills a bracket out. And my wife has no like sporting, like she just doesn't, she's asking questions this is so much that goes into it. And they kept talking about Brock Purdy being Mr. Irrelevant. And finally she's like, that is just so rude. Why do they keep bringing that up? And I'm like, well, it's a storyline. It's he's irrelevant, but here he is in the Super Bowl. T-Timer says, I had under 47 in my parlay. Unbelievable. Can't beat Vegas. Brian says the women's b-ball game is much better structured. The men's game needs to adopt quarters and foul rules. Now, I was skeptical at first, but now I hate the men's game. I think we talked about that. Oh, yeah, we did. I hit my first quarter box for $150. Had 6-2 KC for my final score for 500. Nice. Let's see. Where are we at? Some of these we talked about. James says, just a reminder, the Bears passed on Mahomes. So did a bunch of other teams. Brian laughs. Let's see. Where are we at? We talked about that. Spam likely crapped his pants last night. Let's see. Johnny M says, good morning. Ended Mahomes listings in the third. Sell similar at end of game with a price increase. There you go. I like that strategy. Max says, newspapers are dead because they are telling a story already told to the world 12 hours ago. Absolutely. And they haven't adapted. Newspapers have not adapted. They continued writing gamers from last night's game that you already knew about and read about and know the stats. Newspapers could have survived if they did something different, write personal interest stories, but no, we're going to do things the way we've always done. Bill Simus, what's up? Good morning, Flawed Thinker. Let's see. Nobody liked the Arnold Schwarzenegger commercial. LOL, it was kind of ballsy. Neighbor. It was clever. And I think that might have been the commercial where I'm like, it's not funny, but it's clever. I think, and they aired that twice, I think. Game also went overtime, so maybe they aired it the second time, and I don't know. But yeah. It was like, yeah, it was funny, but not funny. It was funny, oh yeah, but not funny, haha. Max says, I like all those guys in J-Lo, but that commercial was garbage. Oh, I loved it. Greg Lopez, what's up? Listening, watching, and working on listing on Car Dealer Pro, one of the best Super Bowls in my lifetime. What a fantastic game. Like, just from a game standpoint, people are, oh, it's just, there's no offense, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's good. You don't want a 60-50 shootout. Yeah, it's exciting, but you want some defense, man. Now, you don't want like a 0-0 game either. You need some balance here. And I think we got the perfect amount of balance. And we got some drama. And it was such a good game. We had two record Super Bowl record field goals. 49er Moody, the 49ers kicker, broke the record in the first half, and then I think Butker broke that record in the second half. Kyle says there was a decent Bud Light commercial with Peyton Manning and Post Malone. Oh, I missed that. See, I have just like, it used to be the Super Bowl for me. Like, I would not like leave the TV. Like, I don't want to miss the game and I don't want to miss the commercials. And it was almost like I would rather miss the game than the commercials. And now it's like, I don't know. I just wasn't into it. Maybe, I don't know. Commercials just, I've lost interest, I guess. Because I was grilling and like, we even turned on, now I had so we have like a smaller TV in the like dining room kitchen area, which we like, I think the only thing we've ever watched on it is Jeopardy. And then the game on. So I can see like from the kitchen table, I can see the game on the big screen. And then we had Jeopardy on during the Super Bowl, eating dinner, watching Jeopardy. And of course I had was watching the game. So I did miss some stuff. Max says to spread awareness and kindness. Nah, he wouldn't want that. You right. Dynamita equals Doritos. Brian Gray was driving me nuts with the freaking Usher takes. Though lo and behold, he enjoyed the halftime show. Or Dynamita, however our friends to the south want to spell it wrong. Paramount commercial with Hey Arnold and Peppa the Pig was pretty good. Puppy Monkey Baby, Bud Light, Budweiser Frogs, and the damn Vonage song. I forgot about Puppy Monkey Baby. That was a good one. What's that? I love those commercials. There was Miller Lite had a really random, was it like Dick? Like this random dude. The Bud Bowl. Now I can't remember. maybe the commercials weren't that great. Mark says, in my honest opinion, the Budweiser commercial after 9/11 was the best. The one when the Clydesdales bowed in respect at where the Twin Towers were. Neil says, Saturday, great day for selling. Yesterday sucked. Johnny M says, sold a Sammy Sosa statue that I forgot I had. Luckily, I found it and just dropped it off. Jamie's really late. That's okay. It's the Monday after the Super Bowl. We're all a little late today. Mikey said, I had a great sale Saturday, but slow yesterday. Neil's ready to post about 200 NASCAR in-person autos. Sold a bunch of football and basketball autos. Max says, isn't President's Day Washington's birthday? Can't really change that. Can we just but is it fair? Okay, so here we go. President's Day should be all-encompassing. Like, why is it on George Washington's birthday? If it's President's Day, like George Washington can still be celebrated on his birthday. It's George Washington Day. But give us President's Day. Companies can decide, do you want to take George Washington Day off? But the federal holiday is going to be President's Day, where we celebrate all presidents, not just George Washington. And that's what I would do if I was president. Max says, used to be, now it's just the third Monday in February. Now it can be the Monday after the Super Bowl. Mikey says, I'm running out of room in my bedroom to store cards and grow my eBay store. Sometimes that's a problem when scaling up. Shane says the look on Taylor's face after Kelsey did the Viva Las Vegas thing was priceless. She had the look of, I can't believe I'm with that guy. I thought the exact same thing. She's like, oh my God. Shane says, how many people call in during March Madness days compared to Super Bowl Mondays? Probably a lot less. Because with March Madness, you have to like pick. But I would always take, we would lose my coworker. Would he take both days off? I had a couple coworkers that would take both days off. I usually took, when I worked the last job, I would usually take the Friday off. I never took the day after the Super Bowl off, though. Never took that off. But I would say probably overall, I don't know, but you're looking at like the first round, you're looking at 2 days. Somebody Google that. I don't want to Google that again. Somebody Google how many people take the day off on Super Bowl Monday compared to March Madness. Max says, I just think a lot of people take the NCAA days off. Day off doesn't equal loss of productivity for me. That's a good point, because it's like it's a day, like it's a paid day off, or not, like you're off, so it's planned for the most part. So I would agree with that. Filling out a bracket and actually watching, loss of productivity, caring are two different things. 80-20 split or better. Mikey says, my box of bulk sale arrives today. Yes, I think 4 of the boxes, or actually, I don't know. I uploaded tracking to PayPal on, I think, 6, and then I sent you emails. The others were sent emails, so the other 8 or whatever. The PayPal, I know at least 4 that I uploaded tracking to PayPal. A couple people bought 2 boxes. So I sent you emails with the photos of the tracking, and then I think the Venmo payment, I sent an email. So yeah, they should be, I think, at least from the PayPal tracking I saw, 4 arrived today, 2 arrived tomorrow. So looks like most people should be getting their bargain boxes from the YouTube sale, which I want to give. And that's why I didn't want to just run like a weekly sale, right? Especially after this first one. I want you guys to go through the boxes and, okay, did I get a good deal? Did I not get a good deal? Now we showed off and you bid. So hopefully everybody's happy with what they got. If you're not happy, just don't buy in the future. If you are happy, come back and buy in the future. Max says, how does one adapt a newspaper? At that point, it became a magazine. Fair. But I mean, I think one thing that hurt newspapers was giving it away online for, there's a lot of, and this is hard because it's like, well, you can still get some of that information in other places, but if you do write content that is not a game story, let's keep it to sports, you can find that information in many places. But what you see from paid content online, whether it's ESPN, Baseball America, just some sites The Athletic, that's premium content, which newspapers aren't really putting out premium content. And newspapers will die soon because the dumbass corporate owners of newspapers, Gannett and what was Gatehouse? Was it Gatehouse when I worked in newspaper, I think it was Gatehouse and they just like let go all their employees, and they have like a skeleton staff. And it's like, when you have a skeleton staff, you have less good content. Mikey says, did you see the Kennedy commercial? Yes. And I did not understand it. I don't really follow politics, but I guess it was RFK Jr. that's running for something. So that was interesting. Has there been a political ad during a Super Bowl? Like, I'm sure there has been, but and I'm sure if there was one, long ago or whenever, I wasn't really paying attention, but yeah, I saw that. I'm like, what? Let's see. Shane says, sorry, that was supposed to be a question. I liked it. What was your question? I don't know. Let's see. Neil says, what happened to all the automotive commercials? Used to be so many. Yeah. Beer and cars. We didn't see too many of those. Orlando says, Kennedy Super PAC ran it without approval from Kennedy. Oh, interesting. Max says, because that's how it is. Take your fairness bullshit out of here. It's not elementary school. I don't know what that is in regards to. Shane says, Waza, maybe one of the most iconic Super Bowl commercials of all time. People still do it to this day. Old people like us. Old people still do it. The Waz Up thing was a great commercial, but so goddamn annoying. Shane says, in my experience, I've never known someone to take Super Bowl Monday off, but tons of people taking the day off or calling in because Warren Buffett is giving $1 billion for a perfect bracket. Yeah, I don't recall. I don't ever remember in the jobs that I've worked, I don't ever recall Super Bowl Monday being like people taking it off or being less productive than they already were in the first place. But March Madness, there was a lot of lost productivity. Tiger727 says, Frankie and Louie, the Budweiser lizards were always funny. Bring them back. Yes. What's going on? BB baseball cards in the house. Good morning. Johnny says, I always took the day after the Super Bowl off, and I don't even drink. I don't think I ever took the day after the Super Bowl off. But for most of my career, I was in radio. It was kind of a big day for a sportscaster. But there were some times that I wanted to. But T-Timer says Tabasco mosquito commercial was awesome. See, I don't remember. Maybe this was when I was watching Jeopardy. I don't know. Twitter, the internet hurt newspapers. Absolutely. I will agree with that. But also like other like magazines, like many magazines went out of business because of the internet. But many online websites were able to adapt and garner income from the internet, and newspapers were too late to the game on that. They gave away their content for free for so long that people refused to pay. And like, oh, we'll just get your shitty content from somewhere else. Let's see. Max says also people just don't care about most things a paper writes about today. That's where you nailed it on the head. It's the content. If you provide better content, you can charge for it and people will buy it. Long gone are the days where you could get an entire family to buy a newspaper because little Johnny's name is in the paper for scoring 10 points at last night's basketball game. It's just, and nobody wants to, like, I saw the score and the box score or whatever on Twitter or on Facebook, but newspapers continue to write and continue to this day to write vanilla game stories. If they produced premium good content, maybe people would buy the newspapers, subscribe to the newspapers online. Unicorn Cupcake says USA Today's Nancy Armour ruined the sports section years ago. Mikey says it was a ripoff of the 1960 JFK commercial, but with RFK Jr.'s face instead of JFK. Interesting. Max says, imagine how much productivity would be gained if people actually worked for 5 hours of their 8-hour shift. Yeah. Like, I wonder like how much we're, especially now with smartphones, like how often are you like getting your phone out? I don't know. Neil says it's estimated that more than 16 million people plan to skip work the day after the Super Bowl. Shane says can't find any actual numbers for March Madness, but an estimated 19 million people plan on calling sick on Super Bowl Monday. We typed at the same time, Shane and Neil. Low Roller Scratcher, did you watch the video I sent you? YouTube for morons. Yes, I did, and I agree with him 100%. How about the halftime show? What'd you think about the halftime show? I think the most entertaining part for me of the halftime show is going to Facebook and reading all of the old white people complaining about modern music, and it never fails. So I went and like the first thing I opened Facebook, the first time, oh, what is this? This sucks. So I just go on there and I just like to poke the bear, and I just simply posted on Facebook, I'm just here to read all of the old people complain about the halftime show. And then on cue, all of the old people that were complaining about the halftime show entered the comment section. He's not calling me a moron. He's not calling me a moron. He's calling the idiots that offer $1 on cards and a moron. So no, he's not calling me a moron. Max says, your post was the first one I saw when I did the same thing. And it's like, it's without fail. Like, what is this? What is this? But I will say, I was not impressed, and I was never really an Usher fan. And in one of my group chats, we were talking about like what demo is Usher, and I'm like, I think he's my demo. And I looked up his hits, and like he was like, his prime popularity was when I was in high school and college. Like that's boom, that's right in my wheelhouse. And of course, as I looked up, I'm like, oh yeah, of course I know Usher. Alicia Keys, and I remember, some of her big hits. I was in college, I think, when her first couple big hits came out. But Usher and Alicia Keys paled in comparison when my guy Luda came out, man. Now, Ludacris, that's my jam. So I popped when Ludacris came out. But overall, it was like, okay. It was like, eh. It was better than, post Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake. Those halftime shows were absolutely awful. Thank God for like the WWE and the claymation MTV wrestling, or was that before? I think that was like probably late 90s. But that was like, oh my God, this Paul McCartney. Oh, I'm gagging, dry heaving over the thought of a Paul McCartney halftime show. But there's been some really good ones. But yeah, last night's I just wasn't a big fan of. It was okay. It was okay. I didn't want to turn the channel, but it certainly wasn't going to rank in my top 5. Let's see. Max says the halftime show was awesome. I'm the generation that almost everything he played last night was when I was in junior high and high school, maybe a little earlier. There you go. So right in your wheelhouse. Right in your wheelhouse. Max says, sorry, Johnny Cash and Leonard Skinner are in the ground, old people. Landon, what's going on? My issue I had with halftime is that it should have been the lineup in ATL. I don't know why they chose Maroon 5 for that. Max says the fact that it was black people, I'm sure got people riled up too. Probably the same crowd. And I think there's some of that in, where I grew up, some of the people I grew up around and with, I think I think there's some correlation there. T-Timer says, In Living Color was the best halftime show. So if you go and look at some of the halftime halftime shows really weren't big until the late 80s. Because I wanted to see, I watched several years ago, I wanted to watch Super Bowl 20, the Bears Patriots again. And the halftime show was, looking it up right now, Up with People. I think Up with People, the early Super Bowls was all marching bands, Super Bowl 1 was the University of Arizona with Grambling. Grambling played Super Bowl 2, Florida A&M in Super Bowl 3. The Southern University marching band in Super Bowl 4. Up with People, Super Bowl 5. Was that their first appearance? I think so. Super Bowl 7 was the University of Michigan marching band with Woody Herman and Andy Williams. University of Texas, Mercer, Ellington, and the Grambling State Marching Band, a tribute to Duke Ellington. Up with People did Super Bowl 10. Let's see. Super Bowl 11 in 1977. The theme was It's a Small World. The Los Angeles Unified All-City Band with the New Mouseketeers and Audience Card Stunt. So there were some Up with People, came back for Super Bowl 14. The Mardi Gras Festival at Super Bowl 15 in 1981 with the Southern University Marching Band and Helen O'Connell. Up with People came back at Super Bowl 16 and Super Bowl 20. Let's see. I think by Super Bowl, it looks like maybe Super Bowl 22. That's when 1988, when they started with Chubby Checker, the Rockettes, 88 Grand Piano Players, and then some marching bands. Let's see. And then Super Bowl 25, 1991. We get New Kids on the Block. Disney characters. 2000 local children audience card stunt. 1992, we had Gloria Estefan, Olympic figure skaters, Brian Boitano and Dorothy Hamill, and members of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. Michael Jackson in 1993. 1994, Clint Black, Tanya Tucker, Travis Tritt, and the Judds. So it looked like early 90s was when they started some real like pop music stuff. Johnny M says, just remember, you may be an old white people one day. Yeah, but I'm not going to complain like today's old white people. What are people's thoughts on Kelsey grabbing and screaming at Reed? It's football. Emotions are running high. He didn't push Andy Reid, and I think that has been blown out of proportion. Travis Kelce's a big dude, and he's got strength, and so when he's fired up and he wants to go talk to Andy Reid, he had strength, and it looked like he pushed him when nothing to it. Let's see. Where are we at? Johnny M says, I actually listen to more rap than a lot of the young people. Max says, Johnny, that's what an old white man would say. Right? Tiger727 says, I think Kelsey is a crybaby and Reed should have slugged Kelsey for what he did. I love Travis Kelce. Unicorn Cupcake says, I've been called a pale black man. I took it as a compliment. Spam Likely says, hit that like button if you crapped your pants last night. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and all that good stuff. Max says, people bitching about the Reed Kelsey thing never played sports and don't have a competitive bone in their body. Stop. Didn't have a problem with Brady when he threw fits, but because Swift. And I think people don't like Travis Kelce because of Taylor Swift. Yeah, I mean, it's in the it's a competitive moment, and it looks more than what it was. Peter says, I went to bed at halftime. Did I miss anything? Yes, you did. You missed a hell of a game. So that's what I had for today. Super Bowl Monday. Let's see. I may have some exciting news coming out about the 1 Million Cubs project in the future. I've got some cards to add to the total. I'm a little over 995,000 as I close in on 1 million. And there may be some fun stuff coming up with the 1 millionth Cubs card. So probably have some news on that in the coming weeks. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit up my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Link also in the description. Have a wonderful Monday. Be productive out there in the workforce. Be productive. I'm going to go be productive today. I'm going to go ship, and I might even do some listing. So hit the like button, subscribe. Have a great Monday. We'll talk. Hopefully I'll be on time tomorrow, Tuesday morning.